What is up, everyone? Welcome to Reality Room Podcast with Paul, bringing you the latest on Big Brother 21, episodes 24 and 25. Okay, guys, so we just got off of an eviction where we had, um, who went out? When Kat just got evicted. Poof, had a brain fart there for a second. When Kat just got evicted, and right prior to that, we had a new six-person alliance come about, which was kind of it was kind of an interesting little situation. And it kind of got literally came and went overnight, basically. So I mean, it was absolutely kind of funny in a way because Nicole blew it up to Jess, and then Jess blew it up to Kat, and then it kind of just got out in the open. I feel like the only people who didn't really hear about it were Holly and Jackson, but that changes this episode because they actually show that they actually did overhear it. So we jump into the HOH competition, and they show basically what happened prior to Kat's eviction last week. So we had we had Jessica basically talk to Kat and be like, hey, there's a new six-person alliance. I'm not in it, and you're basically screwed. And Kat's like, oh shit. But they focus more on Jess in this case. And Jessica also went and talked to she talked to Annalise for some reason, and she was like, well, why is there a new six without me? And she's like, well, there's not, and obviously there is. So you got to give it to Sis at least for lying, for actually being capable of lying. It's maybe not something we think that she would be capable of doing, but she did do it, so good on her. Congratulations, Annalise. You successfully lied in this game, although I don't think though Jess did not believe you because she literally just had Nicole tell her flat out, hey, yeah, this is a thing. Interesting. And then for some stupid reason, I can hardly fathom why this would be the case, but we had Jess tell Annalise that Holly told her that Annalise has been flirting with Jackson for some reason. Now I am just like extremely bewildered. Like, I don't understand why she would tell her that. There was no reason to have this conversation. There was no reason to say it. And they even showed the flashback of Holly kind of saying it, but it wasn't even like it was maliciously intended or anything along those lines. So yeah, so I mean, I don't know. What do you all think about that down below? I thought it was just very, very bizarre. And then, of course, Annalise goes and talks to Christy about it. Because this is what she cares about. She doesn't care about getting called out for the six-person alliance. She cares about not flirting with with Jackson. And by the way, okay, my video looks kind of small here, so I'm just going to raise the size of it real quick so it doesn't look so strange. And I'll put it down a little bit. All right. Yeah, that works, I guess. All right, so then we have so then Annalise is talking with Christy, and she's like, yeah, man, I can hardly believe that she did that. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Jesus, this video thing is actually really kind of bothering me. All right, let's try just raising the size. It's okay, guys. We're at work here while we do this. I mean, it happens sometimes. All right, so then we have so she's talking to Christy, and she's like, hey, I can't believe Holly said that. I'm gonna go call her out. And I'm like, yeah, you're not gonna call her out. There's no way you're gonna call her out. And Holly's actually listening outside the door, which is actually really, really funny, because then she just walks in, and the look at Annalise's face, she's like, she looks like she's gonna piss herself. Like, that's how scared she is, which is absolutely hilarious. And so then we have Annalise kind of grows a pair, and she's like, hey, well, here's why I'm kind of mad at you. You're apparently flirting with Jackson. And she's like, what? Or you apparently think I'm flirting with Jackson, rather. And I'm like, and she's like, what? That's not a thing. That is not happening. And I never said that to anyone. I don't think you're flirting with Jackson. And then Jackson's listening outside, and he's like, That I don't think that happened. Of course, Holly did actually say that to Jess, and then Jess kind of like walks in and has and she kind of grabs Christy and Annalise out of the room and has a conversation with them. And Jess is like, hey, look, I know there's a new six that was formed. And Christy is like, nope, there was never a talk about it being an alliance. Even though it was definitely an alliance. So, oh, a lot of fun stuff here. And basically, Jess's game is kind of like, was not looking too hot after that. Because Holly then confronted Christy and Annalise after that. And she was like, oh, so she's basically Jess was just making all this shit up about what Annalise said, or about what Holly said about Annalise, and about the 6-person alliance. She wasn't sure if that was like true or not, which it was, and then they find that out later, and then Jackson overhears the conversation. Yeah. Actually, no. Prior to that, Jackson overhears the conversation and says they're boned because there is a new 6, and it's a whole bunch of nonsense. Basically, a whole bunch of nonsense. Back to the HOH competition. They're slipping and sliding, and well, I'll just get to the end of it. But Jackson ends up winning HOH. Woo! And as all of you know, we have Jackson who, we're happy about this because Jackson is going after Christy. And because he's going after Christy, that means that she's going to be on the block this week, one way or the other, or at the very least, people that she's allied with are going to be. And so Jackson says flat out. He's like, I want Christy on the block, like flat out, like in the first after wins HOH, I want Christy on the block. Beautiful, fantastic. I want Christy on the block. I'd rather die standing than on my knees or whatever. What the hell is it saying? I don't even know. All right, so yeah, the real question is who he wants to put up next to her, and they kind of bounce off a few ideas and they kind of agree on like Annalise vaguely. Meanwhile, we have Christy and Annalise talking, and they're like, damn, I'm pretty sure one of us is going to go on the block this week, if not both of us. Tommy walks in, and they kind of let him know, like, hey, we're worried this week. And Tommy's like confused. He's like, wait, why are you worried? Because Tommy's not worried at all, because he had the opportunity to put Holly on the block last week, and of course he did not end up doing that. So he's in a pretty good position. So I'd say, good for Tommy, but not very good for Christy and Annalise, who basically Holly overheard them have a conversation that they did plan to put the two of them up. So, so Tommy's in a good position, and he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just gonna sit this one out. I'm like, I have to say, mad respect to Tommy for having that instinct. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, the rest of this episode, I mean, there was a couple of more conversations that were had. Like there was a speculation that Cliff could have potentially gone on the block. There was a conversation that Jackson had with Nick, which was really, really awkward. Okay, so Nick's in the room, and Jackson's just asking him questions or whatever. And like Nick's just giving like 1-word answers, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, I understand. Yeah, put him on the block. Yeah, definitely. I'll vote the way you want. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, sure." And like it was he said in like the diary room, like, "Oh, I'm in control of this situation." No, you looked extremely fucking awkward, and it was really awkward to watch. Like Jackson was looking at you like you had 3 heads. Because frankly, you looked like you had 3 heads during that conversation. So, Nick, you need to like calm down, just relax, take a deep breath, or maybe not relax, because maybe he was too relaxed in that situation. I don't know, man. It was absolutely crazy. I mean, that's all I have to say about it. Anyway, so Jackson, Annalise also has a talk with Jackson. And she's like, hey, I don't want to go on the block. And Jackson's like, you are not the target this week. And somehow she takes that to mean that not only is she not the target, but she's not going on the block. which was not really shown in the episodes, but she actually did think this. She thought, oh, I'm not the target, so I'm not going on the block. No, I'm sorry, Annalise. I'm sorry, little girl, it's okay. It's fine. I know your friend Christy's going to be going home, but, you just relax, okay? Like, I don't understand Annalise at all. Like, she seems to fight more for other people than herself, look, that's a fine thing to do in life. Very respectable to do in real life. But you're playing Big Brother. You should only be looking out for yourself. I'm going to jump into the next episode now. So, okay, so Jackson puts... okay, so basically I wanted to reference that with Nick telling Annalise that he was going to take her off the block if he won veto. And I'll get to that. I'll get to that later. But she wanted him to use it on Christy if he won. Like what is she thinking? She probably would have went home if that happened, which is, just mind blown. All right. Anyway, Jackson puts Christy and Annalise on the block, as was foretold. That episode they also showed Annalise with her chickens, which just made her look, kind of ditzy. I mean, she is kind of ditzy, so. We all kind of know that at this point. It is what it is, right? All right, so we have the next episode now, episode 25. We just had Jackson put the two of them on the block. Christy's not surprised. She takes it pretty well. Annalise actually takes it a little harder, but not for herself again. She's upset because Christy's on the block, and Christy might be going home. Oh no, not Christy. How could my good friend leave? I don't even think she was like this adamant when fucking Jack went home. She's like, what, does she care more about Christy than Jack? I don't know, man. It's like, it's so bizarre. I don't understand. I really, really just don't understand. All right, so anyway, we've had... Okay, so Christy's not surprised. And so she goes to the whatever room with Annalise, and they're kind of talking, and for some reason, Nick comes up, and she's like, I really thought Nick would go on the block. And I'm like thinking to myself, it's a bit surprising, because number one, she should know Jackson wants to get her out. And so why would Jackson put Nick on the block against her if he wants Christy to go? Think about it. Nick is actually a fairly big target. He has a lot of people that trust him, but it's kind of like not real trust. And so there's a lot of reason why people would want to vote him out. So there's actually a solid shot that if Nick went up against Christy, that Nick could have gone home. And Jackson didn't want that. So Jackson did the smart play and put up the best candidate to assure that Christy went home. And for some reason, Christy doesn't understand this. Christy's like, I'm just surprised. I can't do a voice for some reason. I'm from Staten Island. I should be able to do a voice. It's just New York. Yeah, it's just New York. All right. Man, I'm really surprised I could. Okay, it's like an inspiration thing. I was not able to manifest her stupid... I shouldn't say stupid. It's not a stupid voice. I'm not able to manifest her voice at this time. Probably for the benefit of our viewers. for the benefit of our very, very... our very large amount of viewers. We definitely have very large numbers. Very, very large numbers. All right, so... for some reason they throw Nick under the bus, and that's been like the mantra that basically that whole episode. And I really don't understand where I don't know where she's coming from there. I feel like she's just throwing darts at the wall and making enemies out of people she doesn't have to make enemies out of. So anyway, Annalise then goes to talk to Nick, and she's like, hey, are you working with Jackson and Holly? And he's like, nope. Not working with Jackson or Holly, and I'll prove it to you. If I get picked for veto, I'm taking you off. And she's like, no, I want you to take Christy off instead. And he's like, no, because if I take Christy off, you might go home. And this concept, Annalise thinks she's staying because everyone likes her. That's not true. The only reason why she would stay over next to someone is because other people know how poor of a game she's playing, and they would want to drag her to the end. It has nothing to do with likability, which is what she seems to think. She's like, oh, it's pure likability. Everyone likes me. No one's gonna vote me out. There were a lot of people that were liked that got voted out. I mean, I don't know what else to tell her. Like she doesn't have like she can't like grasp that she has any potential of going home. And again, the only reason why someone would vote to keep her is because they think they could drag her to the end and she's easy to beat against. That's the only reason to keep her. But if Christy gets off the block, Annalise is always a number for Christy, so that's still an option to get Annalise out. I mean, especially if it's if it's between Annalise and Tommy, Annalise goes. Annalise goes, and that's who Jackson claimed to have wanted to put on the block if she got off. All right, so then Tommy goes and has a conversation with Jackson, and then basically like. Yeah, and he's basically like, hey, look, I still wanted to work with you, and Jackson's like, hey, look, man, I respect you as well, and they're having like I see it as like a bro moment. They're like, hey, look, man, I scratched your back, I didn't put you on the block last week, and Jackson does legitimately want to still work with Tommy when Christy leaves. He just knows that he may use the veto if he wins it. And even Tommy's like, hey, look, man, I'm gonna gun for the veto, and I'll do what I do with it. I don't know what that is yet. And Jackson respects that answer because he's like, hey, man, I still want to work with you, but I'm working with them as well. I'm in a tough spot, and that's just the way it is. Jackson completely understands, and I can see Tommy working with Jackson after this week. I can see it. I mean, I don't think that's what's happening, but I could see it potentially happening. If Holly wins it, like if Holly was to win HOH, for instance, I think Tommy would be the one they reach out to. Or if Tommy wins HOH, maybe they don't go after Jackson and Holly. I don't know. I don't know if the incentive's there. I really don't know. All right, so anyway, we have more drama with Nick, and Tommy's there this time, and Tommy goes and tells Nick, he's like, hey man, like they're like talking like trash about your game, basically. It's what they're doing. And Nick's like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I've been nothing but loyal. I promised to use a veto on Annalise. That's what I said I would do. And like, yeah, he basically goes and calls out Christy and Annalise, and Christy seems to think that Nick's playing like a god game. He's not playing a god game. Like, no one in the world thinks that Nick is playing a god game. He's playing a slightly above average game, slightly above average, if that. Like, it's evident that he's not playing a good game because the fact that Christy just like misconstrued something. So if he had so much trust with people in the house, then Christy would not have been calling him out. You can't play a Puppet Master game if Kat knows, okay? Like you're not. You know why Kat told Christy Nick was playing the Puppet Master game? Was because Nick made a new 6-person alliance. That's the only reason she said that. She's like, Nick's puppet mastering this whole thing. No, he's not. He made one alliance after he felt safe, and it blew up in his face, and now no one trusts him, even though Christy was in that alliance. Like, think about it. Christy was in the alliance that Nick made, and Kat called Nick the Puppet Master because basically as a result of said alliance. Dumb. just dumb. All right. Anyway, we have veto. We pick players for the veto. Who do we have? We have Cliff picked. We have Nick picked, and we have Holly picked. Pretty good group of people. Nicole's still not picked for a veto for, I don't know. I feel like wasn't she playing like one veto this season or two? I don't know. It's pretty crazy. So then we have like an under the sea type of competition where you have to do like we have to balance the things on the poles or the beams or whatever, which is You know, I mean, it's a tough competition. Like I watch this and I'm like, I'm sure some people think it's like simple, but I'm like looking at that and I'm like, that looks very intimidating. I don't think I would even want to attempt to do it, but um, you know, I mean, you got to do what you got to do to stay in the game. So gotta play. And basically, what ends up happening is Jackson wins HOH. Also, they give Nicole, despite not playing in the veto, 2 DR sessions. I mean, we like Nicole, sure, but did we have to give her two DRs the session? There was no reason. She's like, yeah, if one of them comes off, it could spell bad news for me. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I really don't think that's the case, Nicole. Like maybe one would have been enough, I think, in my opinion. Although I do love Nicole, and she was my pick to win the game. Not that I'm bragging, that she made it this far so far. Actually, there's still 9 people in the game, so I shouldn't brag at all. That's like a over 50% chance of me guessing with the final 9 at this point. All right, so we have Jackson, who wins the veto. Which, kudos to him. Like, he was a total comp beast this week. Really, really deserved it. Christy has, like, a mental breakdown after the veto, and, like, Tommy and Kat were... Not Kat. Oh, my God. Tommy and Holly were doing, like, Baywatch with, like, Nicole, because they both were wearing, like, red and, like, bathing suits. And Christy was, like, not having any of it. And, like, she was, like, crying about it. She's like, if I don't even have Tommy, then who else... Then what am I supposed to do? Then Tommy goes up and he comforts her. And she's like, man, you shouldn't have done that. And he's like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. And then Tommy the DR is like, she's just looking for someone to blame. And today she picked me to blame. Which really, that is what she's doing, honestly. That is exactly what she's doing. Like, she did the same thing with Nick. Like, really, she's scapegoating Nick this week. Because she's somehow blaming him for her leaving, which is wrong. It's wrong. That's all I gotta say about that. I don't know. Anyway, so we have Christy try to pitch like a deal to Jackson and Holly, and the deal's basically like, hey, look, you know, I won't go after you next week, and I'll try to make like a 5 or 4 with you. And Holly and Christy get emotional for some reason, and I'm like, okay, stop. And Jackson's just sitting there like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do this deal. Sorry. Like, I'm going after you because you're a big threat, and you know that. And then Christy's like, all right, I understand. And then Jackson decides not to use the power of veto. Yeah. And that is an and that is basically the recap of the episode. And so Christy is more than likely going to be going home this week, which is, you know, good news for it's good news for Jackson, good news for Holly. Actually, really good news for most people in the house, because she's not she like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like Tommy's freer with her gone, although he's still a target too. So I don't know. We'll see who wins HOH next week. I think like the 6 that they made is still basically together, only it's like a 5 now. So we'll see what happens there. I want to thank everyone for watching this recap. Yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe down below if you enjoyed this video. Sorry, we had some technical things with the camera today. Again, I am experimenting with this new streaming thing. Until next time, guys. Peace.